Hey everyone, C-Stan here with the Lord of the Rings The Living Card Game. Today we are checking out Glóin. I think the addition of Arwen to the card pool has been just an amazing new card and has sort of revolutionized what a lot of decks can do. And I wanted to put her into a Glóin deck to see if there could be any sort of revival of the Glóin style of play. Typically, Glóin's used in multiplayer when he is used. I wanted to make a solo deck, though. So you're going to see some common themes in here with Steward and like Gondorian Fire and Blood and Numenor. And I think it worked extraordinarily well. So here we're up against Nightmare Siege of Kaer Andros. Siege of Kaer Andros already, without Nightmare, was one of the hardest quests out there. And the Nightmare mode just makes it absolutely brutal. And on top of that, we flip over a Battering Ram as our first card. So definitely not an ideal start. But fortunately, undefended attacks in the beginning of the game can be directed towards a battlegrounds location. So I just eliminate. You have to choose the lowest battleground location to destroy. So that was done. I sneak in Gandalf, deal 4 damage, and then Gandalf attacks and destroys the battering ram with his attack strength. So luckily that's out of the way, but we kind of had to use up our sneak attack Gandalf on attacking, which I'm generally not a fan of. I like to lower my threat or draw cards. What we're trying to do here is draw into basically everything. Most of the deck is 3-ofs for consistency's sake. And we have Elven Light there to help with the card draw. What we want to do, I mean, it's pretty easy to use this deck. All you have to do is put every single attachment on Glóin. And that's the whole strategy. You're going to get 2 Citadel plates up to get him to 12 hit points, and then keep healing him and dealing him damage so that he builds up a huge resource pool. And from there, he can kill stuff with Gondorian Fire. And Unexpected Courage helps him perform many actions each turn. Alright, so I have my Citadel plates. I cannot play them yet because I do not have a Tactics resource icon. I do have Narvi's Belt, which I could play. However, that would take up both of Glóin's resources, and I mean, he wouldn't have the resources necessary to play Citadel Plate. So I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna hold off on playing that because I might draw into Steward next round, and I want to have the resources to play it. So, okay, good to get some healing out very early for this deck. And the first quest stage here is Siege. So with all 3 heroes questing, it's really only 6. So it's a little bit harder. This deck is kind of slow to start at Siege and Battle because your main attack and defense doesn't come from allies, it comes from Glóin. So this quest is not even the ideal one. Yeah. Okay, so we actually get kind of lucky in that we reveal an enemy with 4 attack, because that allows Glóin to defend the attack and take 3 damage, putting him just shy of being killed, generating the maximum resources possible. So right there was a big risk. If that enemy had gotten +1 attack, our game would have been over. But against Nightmare Care Andros, you need to take big risks like that. Again, we keep up with the Elven Light draw engine. It's just insanely good. Okay, so now we can actually play down Narvi's Belt, exhaust it, and right now I'm actually deciding on whether or not I want to play this brand or if I want to play the Citadel plate. So I still haven't paid for the brand yet. So I will take the brand off in a second. I had just forgotten to do that. Okay, so I decide on the Citadel plate because the brand isn't that useful when I'm so close to death. Yeah. Don't worry, that brand will come off. Okay, so we're only questing for 5 now. We're kind of just keeping it slow and steady, trying to build up Glóin before we move on to any future quest stage. Yeah, here I'm realizing that I didn't pay for a brand, so took that back. I can play it next round. Okay, so that's resolved now. We quest for 5, and we reveal the Anduin Wharf, which is another battleground location. And if you let that get too much damage, it's particularly bad. So the Nightmare locations they added into this version of the quest, they don't just leave the game when they're destroyed. They get discarded, but they actually do something horrible when you let them take damage. Because that was a legitimate thing many people did in the standard version of the quest. You just let the battleground locations take all of your hits for you, and then deal with the fact that you have to go through every quest stage, which hurts, but if you have a good start, it's not so bad. So in this, if you let the Anduin Wharf get destroyed, you've got to reveal, I think, 2 cards from the top of the encounter deck, which is just horrible. And then there's another location where if you let it get destroyed, you have to distribute that damage among your characters, which actually wouldn't be so bad for this deck, but it can be pretty bad for a lot of decks. Okay, so we drew into Steward, and we play down the Steward, exhausting it. And now we decide to go for the brand. And I'm doing this because I know I'm going to be able to heal up Glóin to defend the attack. So I did have to exhaust Narvi's Belt, though, to give Glóin the lore icon before putting the brand on, because brand needs to be attached to a lore character. And it doesn't matter that Glóin loses the lore icon at the end of the phase. The brand gets to stay on there. So Narvi's Belt is really helpful in this deck. It allows you to play the Citadel plates. It allows you to play brand. And you'll see pretty shortly the amazing work it can do with Elven Light. Okay, we're going to sneak in Gandalf for the quest phase, lowering our threat by 5, because there's quite a bit of threat in there. Oh, and we reveal Master's Malice, which we can cancel. There are 3 Test of Wills in the deck. This deck can potentially survive a Master's Malice without killing off all your heroes. If you choose Spirit, then Elrond and Glóin can typically survive. But it's nice to have the cancel anyway. I would have lost my Warden of Healing, so I didn't want that to happen. Okay, so no danger in defending with Glóin here. I know exactly how much damage he's going to take because he's got Brand. So now it's sort of just a math exercise. How many resources do I want? Okay, and I ready him and deal 1 more damage. Alright, we drew into Protector of Lorien, which is good. It is really in combination with Elven Light, it's the draw engine for the whole deck. Okay, so we discard for Arwen's ability, getting a resource up on Arwen, just in case we've got to use Test of Will. We're going to hold off on the Warden, just in case some archery damage comes up. If some archery damage comes up. Or, no, maybe I'm just looking back to see if I had used him last turn, and I did. Okay. So, we get our protectors. 2 of them. Now, we give Glóin a spirit icon with Narvi's belt. And now we can discard Elven Light for Protector of Lorien a bunch of times. So 3 times per phase per card. So I'm going to keep track of that. Save some time by not actually pulling Elven Light back to my hand each turn, but I'll just spend a resource and draw a card and mark the fact that I've used Elven Light on Protector. Okay. So here I get to draw 6 cards using Glóin's resources. It's just crazy how good those 2 cards are together if you have the resources. Okay. I was hoping to draw into I think Blood of Numenor there. In order to get my defense up. Although I do have Protectors of Lorien for that. So I got a lot of cards in my hand. But, I mean, we don't quite have all the resources necessary for it just yet. We'll sneak in Gandalf again. We really want to just complete that active location. We're 1 away from completing it. Okay, we get Orc Ravager. So it looks like there's 8 threat there, and we quest for 9, so just enough to complete the active, and that'll allow us to travel to another Battlegrounds. Okay, so we engage both of these guys now. Gandalf is back in our hands. We heal up Glóin. No, one of them's attack 4, one of them's attack 3, and we obviously can't take that much damage. So we need to adjust our defense on Glóin so that he doesn't die. It's not so hard to do when you've got Protectors of Lorien and Elven Lights in your hand. It's just a matter of counting. So Glóin can take 3 more damage, so we're going to try to take 2 damage from the attack 4 and 1 damage from the attack 3, which means we want 2 defense. So we just discard Elven Light once to Protector of Lorien to give him the necessary defense for that. So he defends this one, ignores the shadow, takes 2 damage, gets 2 resources. Did I forget to do that? 1 damage, 1 resource. Alright, it looks like looks like I may have actually forgotten to give Glóin a couple resources right there. So that's definitely something you don't want to miss. You don't want to miss out on free resources. Okay, and slowly and steadily, Glóin is hitting for 1 damage on that enemy. We really want to get some Gondorian fire out at some point. So Elven Light, we finally draw into Blood of Numenor, which is nice. Although, if I'm really thinking about cards to swap out of this deck, I'd probably get rid of maybe 1 Blood of Numenor, just because 3 Blood of Numenor is maybe a bit excessive with the protectors of Lorien that we have. It's nice to, get up to crazy defense, though, particularly in this quest where enemies can attack for 7. Discarding 6 cards to Protector of Lorien when you want to defend that attack can be kind of painful on your hand. Okay, so what do we spend our resources on this turn? We could get another Citadel plate out, but we also want more healing to continue fueling the engine. We could also try to draw cards with Gandalf so that we can get Gondorian Fire and finally actually kill off some of these enemies. So I think what I'm going to do is go about that by Elven Light. And so I'll draw a few here. Finally get a self-preservation. That's a long time coming. And we also get Gondorian Fire, which we can't actually play yet. So I'll be taking that back. Because Glóin already used his Narvi's Belt for the Spirit icon for Elven Light. So we don't have a Tactics resource this turn to play down Gondorian Fire. Even though it costs 0, you still need to have a resource match. Alright, we get Radrim Elite. He makes an immediate attack against me. And I see that Glóin only has the ability to defend 3 times. So this immediate attack will be 1. And then in the combat phase, I'll have 3 enemies to defend. So that means something's going to have to be undefended. So it looks like this one is. And we're going to kill off this location. And we are short by 1 for questing. We travel to that location. And since there's new battleground locations in Nightmare mode, we don't have to immediately advance the first stage when all 3 of the main ones are gone, because we still have a battlegrounds location in play. Alright, discarding some cards to get Glóin up to 4 defense. And that means he's going to be able to defend all 3 attacks without taking damage and ignoring shadow effects. So combat is pretty straightforward at this point, but we are running out of actions here. Luckily, we just drew into Heir of Mardil, which can get us another way to ready Glóin. Get another Citadel plate down. That'll cost 4 resources from Glóin. And since he's got the Tactics resource, we can put down Gondorian Fire. Now we're discarding a card from Arwen to give Elrond a resource. And right now, I decided to pay 3 for Warden because the active location makes us pay 1 extra. But then I realized I could just play self-preservation for the same cost. So I went ahead and did that. Yeah, so the active location right now is making allies cost 1 extra to play. So it's not the time to play down our wardens. But that was a great example of the flexibility of Arwen and Elrond in the same deck. You can put the resource on Arwen to draw more with Elven Light, or you can just put the resource on Elrond to get out an ally, or your protector of Lorien, or your Burning Brand, etc., etc. Okay, so we flip an enemy, place our progress. We got 4 things to defend here. Okay, and that enemy that we revealed, I didn't stay too long on that, but what he does is he's got attack 5, and his ability is all damage dealt by him has to be placed on battleground locations. So I won't be able to even use Glóin's ability with that guy, that enemy. So what I'm going to do is defend the first few attacks with low defense and take damage and resources. And then when I get to him, I'll boost up my defense and take no damage. So here, I just take the 3 damage from defending, gain resources, and then use Arab Martel to ready. With the second guy, he's got attack 3. And I've got quite a bit of hit points, so I can afford to take damage again here. I'm just debating whether or not I can just do undefended, but I decide not to. I defend it. So he attacks again, but we ignore that. Take 2 damage, 2 resources. I ready myself. Now I'm healing the damage on Glóin here because I want to take this attack undefended. Because even though I can defend 2 more times, I actually want to attack once. So I'm defending this attack 5. Reveal the shadow, which we'll ignore. And we boost up my defense with Blood and Numenor and take no damage from that, so we don't have to assign anything to Battlegrounds. Now this is undefended. I have to deal the 2 damage to a Battleground. Okay, and now I have an action left to use Gondorian Fire and kill off one of these enemies. And I'll kill off the Saboteur because he doesn't help Glóin out at all. So that combat was a little trickier just because we kind of ran up against the maximum number of actions that Glóin had. Alright, so hopefully we can draw into either some more action advantage or more healing so that he can take more undefended hits. And we did draw into 2 self-preservations. So along with the one that's already on him, and thanks to Elrond, that's going to be a nice healing of 9 damage per round. And essentially that means he can take 9 damage a round. With the Warden, he can take up to 11 damage a round. Generate 11 resources. It's just nuts. I mean, and then he can use all of that for using Elven Light over and over and over and over and over. So, yeah. At this point, the deck is completely unstoppable. I mean, to stop the deck now, you would need some sort of treachery card that said discard all attachments and it cannot be canceled, because we've got 2 Tests of Will sitting in our hand as well. The shadows can't hurt us. I mean, unless we get a really nasty one that we decide to take undefended. But for all the ones that Glóin defends, we ignore them. Okay, so I went ahead and did that one undefended, and it told me to increase its damage by 2. So we took an attack of 6 undefended on Glóin there, and then healed up a couple damage. Take another undefended attack. Or did I defend that? I can't remember. It seemed like I decided to defend it after the fact, which is not allowed. No. So it was undefended, but the shadow effect said to exhaust a character you control. So I had to exhaust Glóin anyway. But he takes that undefended damage, gains resources, and then uses Heir of Mardil to ready. And now he is actually defending the final attack. And we ready, and he's got 2 actions left with Gondorian Fire, so he'll take out 2 enemies here. Just deciding which one I want to kill. It doesn't really matter. Yeah. And here we are, still in the first quest stage. Heal up 9 damage with all our protectors. So Glóin now has a clean bill of health and is ready to generate another 10 resources this round. It's just crazy. Crazy. Still haven't used Steward yet. At this point, if you want, you can save Steward for later in the round to trigger Heir of Mardil. But I plan on using Glóin's damage effect every turn if I can, so. Alright. Alright, we're using Narvi's Belt as a spirit to draw cards with Elven Light. So, and we also get to play Unexpected Courage. Okay. So just 3 times. I really should have drawn more there. There was no reason not to. Okay, and this round we actually commit Glóin to the quest. Okay, and unfortunately we reveal a bunch of enemies. But since Glóin's committed to the quest, we can use Blood and Numenor and get our quest, our willpower or siege points up to 20, and finally defeat this stage. Okay. And we have to go on to stage 2 because we failed to clear the banks. We can travel to the walls, and that's the location where if you let it get destroyed, you've got to deal the damage among characters you control. Okay, we got 3 enemies. it looks like Glóin has 1, 2, 3, 4 potential actions. So we might take some undefended stuff here, because we need 6 actions to take them all out and defend them all. Okay, so that's one done undefended attack. And then looks like we defend this one. And ready just to make use of Heir of Mardil. Heal up a couple damage, and we decide to defend this attack 8 because it's kind of risky. I mean, Glóin has 12 hit points, so if we take a undefended 8 damage, that's going to be 11 damage. So we really couldn't afford a nasty shadow effect there. So we actually use Blood and Numenor to take no damage from that attack, and we unfortunately have to leave one enemy there. Okay, so this, you can ignore this. For some reason, I was thinking a lot about the combat, and thought for some reason I had already gone on to the next turn and had forgotten the effect on the active quest stage that said you have to reveal one additional card each round. But this is the round that I revealed that quest stage. So I didn't forget anything, essentially. I didn't forget to draw an extra card. I just kind of got lost in the combat there. So just ignore that. It's all fixed now. And shuffled into the deck again. But this upcoming round, we will have to reveal 2 encounter cards. And it's a regular questing stage, but that's no problem because Glóin's going to pay for 3 Ether Swordsmen and Gandalf, who lowers our threat by 5. Okay, so we get really solid willpower now. Surge, deal 1 damage to a battleground location, and alright, the besieged location where if it gets destroyed, the courtyard, you've got to exhaust your characters. Even that's not really a big deal. Alright, we easily complete that stage. And we move on to stage 3B, which we don't get to skip because we didn't clear the threat 2 location. Okay, but the next stage is battle, so not a big deal. We apply all the archery damage to Glóin, of course, and heal it a lot of it off. 3 attacks. These little attack 2s we take undefended, so that's going to be 3 damage because he gets +1 attack. Heal it off. I actually exhaust to defend that so that I can use Heir of Mardil. And then for this attack, I could defend it because I still have 3 actions to kill them all off. So we ignore that and just deal 4, what is it? I forget if it's 3 or 4 damage I should have taken there. Oh no, just 3, so that's right. And I gain 3 resources. Okay, we get another protector. Kind of superfluous at this point. We only got 4 cards left in our deck, so it wouldn't be hard to draw them all if we wanted to at this point. There's just not a whole lot of a reason to. Okay. We draw up. Okay, so actually it looks like I am doing that. Okay, so Glóin still has the tactics icon from playing the Gondorian Fire. the reason I guess I did that was because this is a battle stage, and having multiple Gondorian fires is just some sort of insurance. Like Glóin at this point could battle quest if he put a resource on all three of them. For like 22 plus 21 plus 20, like 63 plus the 2 he has, 65 battle questing. Yeah, so I didn't even bother questing anyone else. There's no need. Okay, so here's a mistake that I actually made. I actually did go on to stage 4, even though I was allowed to skip it. I guess I forgot that the location that I cleared meant I didn't have to do this quest stage. So I've made this a little bit harder on myself, but I mean, it's not noticeable at this point, just because the deck has become completely unstoppable. It's a siege quest. Of course, it doesn't matter what kind of quest it is, we can beat it. Willpower, attack, or defense. We have 1,000,000 points in anything. If we wanted to, we could play more cards that are in our hand. There's no reason I'm not playing them. Like, we could put down Brand and Warden down. All right. I know there's only 2 rounds left, so I canceled that, even though I could easily handle it. It's just one enemy. I just did it for the sake of time. Celdron Support is normally one of the most horrible cards you can draw in this whole cycle, almost. Especially in multiplayer. So it's almost a reflex to cancel it. Okay, we move on to the last stage, reveal a card, and it's just a little location there. Move to the next round, and just go ahead and quest right away. It's a siege. We'll play Gandalf down. Just lowering our threat here for the sake of victory points. I mean, Gandalf shouldn't have been discarded there. Okay, we draw another Celdron Support. And since it's the last turn, I decide, well, I'll just cancel that. It's not really important, but... All right. So, I mean, we just need to put a resource on Blood and Numenor to get our siege questing to whatever value we want. And that's it. That's the game. So, it's actually really fun to play this deck. Watching Glóin just suck up all the damage from enemies attacking for 7 and 8. This quest actually was pretty difficult, and I don't know if I would say I got a lucky encounter draw or anything like that, especially with the battering ram that I drew on the first turn. But I got I think a pretty normal hand. The deck is pretty consistent because most of the cards are 3 copies. But yeah, tons of fun to play. Really powerful in solo, and can handle a huge variety of quests. I mean, it's good at willpower, attack, and defense. The main weakness is kind of its slow start, which is pretty typical with my decks. So it might not do well against something that you really need to work fast at. I mean, Nightmare 5 armies probably wouldn't be so good if you can't get progress early in the game. You kind of stagnate. You can never generate a pile of resources on Glóin or anything like that. Raid on the Great Havens is another one that punishes you really quickly. so maybe not so good. But in general, I would say it's an all-around solid solo deck. Basically all focused around Glóin. Arwen and Elrond are there for support in healing and resources. Arwen's ability to draw with Elven Light is crucial. And being able to like give herself another resource so that she can play Unexpected Courage on Glóin is also really, really good. So, that's it for the Glóin solo deck. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think, and please give it a try. Happy questing.